What Rick Lagina just uncovered deep beneath Oak Island will change everything we thought we knew about pirate history. Hidden for over 300 years, a $110 million treasure hoard has finally come to light. But that's only the beginning. From ingenious death traps designed to protect it, to clues revealing a secret pirate banking network, this discovery could rewrite history itself. Smash that like button and get ready, because you're about to witness the most shocking treasure find of the century. Rick Lagina couldn't believe his eyes when a centuries-old leather-bound journal surfaced in Halifax. Its ink had faded to near illegibility, but the clues were unmistakable. A hidden hoard buried deep beneath Oak Island, protected by coded maps promising a way past the infamous flood tunnels. As experts pored over the pages, links emerged to pirate captains active in the late 1600s, notorious figures who had sailed the Atlantic with fortunes that vanished without a trace. Rick traced every symbol, every marking, ancient Templar signs entwined with Masonic patterns and pirate insignias, and a theory began to take shape. Oak Island wasn't just a legend. It was a transatlantic storage hub, a secret vault for rogue merchants and privateers who risked everything to hide their wealth beneath the island's treacherous surface. Historic geological surveys from the 1800s suddenly made sense when compared to modern sonar scans. Multiple subterranean chambers had been carefully engineered under the money pit, their layouts too precise to be natural. Local legends of glimmering coffers beneath the ground and stories of booby-trapped tunnels, once dismissed as fantasy, now demanded attention. The crew readied high-pressure drilling rigs and advanced scanning equipment, their nerves taut with the realization that this could be the most significant discovery Oak Island had ever seen. Every creak, every shadow felt like a warning, but curiosity and adrenaline drove them forward. Using multi-frequency sonar and ground-penetrating radar, the team uncovered voids in the earth that defied natural explanation. The chambers were layered, perfectly aligned, and clearly man-made. Rick cross-referenced pirate logs and shipping routes from the 18th century, discovering plausible motives for moving treasure to Nova Scotia, away from prying English and Spanish eyes. Even more astonishing, the scans revealed flood tunnels designed to redirect water during high tides. A centuries-old anti-theft system sophisticated enough to rival modern engineering. Then came the breakthrough. A previously unknown vertical shaft extending far beyond prior drilling limits, reinforced with ancient wood and metal that had withstood the weight of centuries. As the crew debated the risk of structural collapse, Rick's eyes burned with determination. The potential payoff of gold, gems, and historic artifacts was too immense to ignore, and the tension in the pit was palpable. Excavation brought them face to face with a massive oak-reinforced door, its iron hinges seeming impervious to the passage of time. Symbols etched into the wood told a story in themselves. Pirate insignias, celestial navigation markers, cryptic coordinates, each mark a whisper from the past. Nearby, rusted keys, carved tokens, and coins dating from 1690 to 1720 lay scattered like breadcrumbs leading deeper into history. Rick speculated that this chamber wasn't merely a burial vault. It was a secret transatlantic bank. A hidden ledger of pirate fortunes moved between Nova Scotia, the Caribbean, and Europe. Outside, storm clouds gathered, their shadows stretching over the money pit as if nature itself sensed the magnitude of what was about to be revealed. The air thickened with anticipation, the crew bracing for the moment they would breach the door and confront history head-on. But what Rick and his team were about to face beyond that ancient oak door would test every ounce of their courage and expertise. The pirates who had constructed this underground fortress hadn't just hidden their treasure. They had created one of the most dangerous and sophisticated security systems ever devised. As lightning split the darkening sky above Oak Island, eerie shadows danced across the infamous money pit. The team stood ready, hearts pounding, for a descent that would either make them legends or mark their final journey. The moment of truth had come, and there was no turning back. What waited in the depths below would shatter everything historians believed about pirate ingenuity and unveil a secret network stretching across continents. But first, they had to survive the deadly maze that centuries-old engineering had designed to destroy anyone bold enough to trespass. The rope ladder swung wildly as the crew began their descent into the narrow shaft, each step taking them deeper into darkness and farther from the safety of sunlight and open air. Flashlights sliced through the black void, their beams glinting off slick, damp stone and the aged wood of centuries past, while handheld sonar units buzzed faintly, mapping the chamber below. Every creak of the ladder and moan of the timbers above sent hearts racing. The walls seemed to close in, pressing claustrophobia from all sides. A constant reminder that one wrong move could mean being trapped forever, or worse. The air was heavy with the scent of wet earth, rusted metal, and rotting timber, a haunting perfume that made it feel as if history itself were breathing down their necks. Rick's eyes flicked constantly from shadow to shadow, alert for danger while hunting the glimmers of treasure he'd dreamed about for years. The ancient beam supporting the shaft groaned under every movement. Rick called out orders, urging caution, as engineers debated whether to reinforce the structure. Every step had to be perfect, every grip tested against the risk of collapse. Even the smallest disturbance could send centuries of soil and timber crashing down, sealing their fate beneath tons of debris. Amid the tension, the crew began spotting small relics tucked in cracks. Coins, medallions, shattered tools. Some carried markings linked to pirates. Others seemed to belong to early privateers who had passed through this underground labyrinth long ago. Each discovery whispered of secret history, a story buried and silent for hundreds of years. Then came the first true sign of what lay below. A faint golden gleam reflected on the wall of the chamber. At first, it was no more than a shimmer, like sunlight filtering through leaves. The crew froze, breath held, aware they were standing on the brink of a discovery that could surpass every legend of Oak Island. Hearts thundered as they drew closer, shadows stretching long across the uneven stone, revealing a small alcove astonishingly untouched by time. In that charged silence, every member of the team knew they were just moments away from rewriting history. As they stepped fully into the chamber, the sight before them erased every last trace of doubt and replaced it with sheer awe. Rows of golden bars gleamed on sturdy wooden pallets, their surfaces etched with elaborate pirate insignias that seemed to glow in the flickering light. Nearby, oak chests brimmed with coins, gemstones, necklaces, and jewelry. Some clearly centuries old, others crafted later for safekeeping by pirates cautious of the perils of transport. Rick ran his hand over one of the chests, feeling the coarse texture of the ancient wood and the weight of history pressing against his palm. His mind raced, silently calculating the staggering worth, $110 million, a number almost too vast to grasp. Experts would later authenticate the coins and artifacts, tracing them to mints in Spain, France, and the Caribbean, all dated between 1650 and 1720. Confirmation that legends whispered for generations were, at last, true. But in that moment, the crew's challenge wasn't celebration. It was extraction. Every gold bar and chest sat heavy and unstable on fragile pallets. One wrong shift could send everything crashing down. Quick thinking took over. The team worked swiftly, rigging pulley systems to lower each treasure with surgical precision. A display of engineering skill and nerve that turned recovery into something almost ceremonial. The chamber pulsed with awe, disbelief, and adrenaline as centuries of mystery culminated in a victory shadowed by risk. Relief had barely begun to settle when the trap was sprung. Hidden defenses, crafted long ago by cunning minds, roared to life. Pressure plates, likely designed to punish intruders, triggered a flood as water gushed through unseen channels, surging toward the treasure hoard. Panic flared, but training and instinct kicked in. Pumps were activated, barriers hastily erected, the team moving as one to battle the torrent. Rick stood in tense amazement, recognizing the genius behind the chaos. These mechanisms were marvels of 17th-century engineering, clever, ruthless, and built to outlast centuries. The water rose fast, echoing through the chamber with the sounds of rushing current, shouted orders, and groaning timbers under strain. Above them, the storm raged in perfect harmony with the chaos below. Lightning shattered the sky, thunder roared across the island, as if nature itself had joined in guarding the pirates' secret. The team worked furiously, their movements synchronized and desperate, fighting both human ingenuity and the forces of nature to save the treasure from being swallowed again by history. Every decision carried weight. Every second threatened disaster. The air vibrated with danger and discovery. The crew standing on the razor's edge between triumph and ruin. But the $110 million in gold and jewels was only the beginning. Hidden within the chests lay documents, ancient, sealed, and shockingly well-preserved, that would unravel a secret far greater than fortune. As Rick and his team caught their breath, standing ankle-deep in the cold, murky water that had nearly consumed their find, they didn't yet realize the truth. The real treasure wasn't the gold. It was the knowledge, a revelation powerful enough to rewrite everything history thought it knew. Leather-bound journals, maps, and coded documents would reveal Oak Island as just one piece of a puzzle spanning continents. The pirates hadn't just buried treasure here, they had created something far more sophisticated and dangerous. A transatlantic criminal empire with Oak Island at its very heart. And the evidence was about to rewrite history books around the world. Leather-bound journals yellowed with age revealed secrets that sent shivers through the Oak Island team. The faded ink detailed alliances, betrayals, and meticulously recorded trading routes, hinting at a web of pirate activity far more sophisticated than anyone had imagined. Rick carefully examined each page, the cryptic handwriting offering glimpses of intrigue. Names, dates, and coded locations suggesting that Oak Island was not an isolated treasure site, but part of a vast transatlantic network of pirate vaults. Symbols scratched into the margins mirrored insignias etched on chests and coins in the chamber, confirming that these were not random markings, but a deliberate system of communication used by pirates to safeguard their wealth across oceans. Maps and charts buried within the journals hinted at even more hidden chambers on Oak Island, some possibly untouched for centuries. Rick and the team spent hours attempting partial translations of the cryptic codes, piecing together names and references that matched historical pirates like William Kidd, Blackbeard, and Lana. Each connection added a layer of authenticity and raised the stakes. This wasn't just gold. It was evidence of a carefully orchestrated pirate banking system. Debate flared among the crew over the ethics of revealing these discoveries. Could sharing the information endanger other caches spark treasure wars, or even invite criminal opportunists to the island. The tension was tangible, a mix of historical fascination and immediate practical concern. Amid this intellectual unraveling, Juan and the engineering team began planning the extraction in earnest. Reinforced pulleys were designed, silent motors calibrated, and protective carts crafted to move the treasure carefully without setting off centuries-old traps. Each gold bar and chest was lifted slowly, every movement calculated and documented as the crew recorded weight, dimensions, and markings for historical preservation. Rick reflected on lessons learned from past collapses and the intricacies of flood tunnels, understanding that patience and precision were just as critical as strength and courage. The work was physically exhausting. Long hours in the dark, confined spaces, tested endurance and morale. Yet moments of humor and camaraderie kept spirits alive, laughter echoing off the damp walls as the team balanced toil with relief at the progress made. Nightfall brought a new level of tension. The extraction continued under darkness to minimize the risk of outside observation or theft, and every sound, creaking beams, shifting carts, distant wind, felt magnified. The crew moved like a well-oiled machine, synchronized in timing and effort, aware that one misstep could compromise centuries of treasure and history. Shadows danced against the walls, creating illusions of movement that made every glance and whisper feel urgent. Above ground, signs of potential rivals began to emerge. Strange lights flickered across the tree line, faint but unmistakable, suggesting that outsiders may have been observing the pit for days. In response, security measures were intensified. Cameras were installed at vantage points, guards patrolled the perimeter, and alarms were tested repeatedly. The storm overhead compounded the sense of vulnerability. Heavy rain and lightning made structural threats more pressing, as old beams groaned and water seeped into lower tunnels. Rick was forced to make critical decisions in real time, balancing the need for speed to secure the hoard against the safety of his crew and the integrity of the historical site. Every pull of the pulley, every groan of the ancient beams felt like a moment of pure, nail-biting drama. Then came the snap. A pulley gave way under the immense weight, sending a chest full of gold swinging wildly, inches from smashing into the chamber wall. Hearts froze as centuries-old wood creaked under the strain. In a blur, the crew leapt into action, every move sharp, measured, and practiced. They knew one wrong motion could erase months of grueling work. Shadows danced across the cavern, the rush of underground water echoing alongside the low rumble of thunder outside. It all blended into a scene straight from an adventure film. Not just a treasure hunt, but a fight for survival. Every breath, every shouted command, every careful lift carried the weight of truth. The Oak Island treasure was no longer myth. It was real, dangerous, historic, and alive beneath their feet. When dawn finally broke over Oak Island, Rick Lagina stood at the rim of the money pit, watching as the last of the $110 million trove was hoisted into the light. The first rays of morning sun glinted off the gold, but Rick's mind was already racing. He knew this discovery wasn't an ending. It was the spark of something far bigger. The journals, relics, and fragments of history they had found weren't just proof of the treasure's existence. They were clues, a coded map pointing to an entire web of pirate vaults hidden across 2 continents. The revelation would rewrite everything. Museums, historians, and treasure hunters everywhere were about to realize that what they thought they knew about pirate history was only the surface of a far deeper truth. But great discovery always brings great peril. As word of the find began to slip into the world, Rick and his team sensed they had disturbed something long dormant. The real adventure was only beginning. Inside the chamber, time itself seemed to breathe. Alongside gold and jewels lay instruments of precision and mystery: compasses, sextants, and carved sigils, each branded with the unmistakable touch of pirates long gone. These weren't just artifacts, they were keys. Navigational relics that once guided voyages across storm-tossed seas. Every mark, every etching whispered of hidden routes, silent deals, and the cunning of men who ruled both the ocean and the shadows. Among the treasures, they found ship logs and faded letters, fragile yet readable, exposing a secret world of smuggling, trade, and brotherhoods so carefully concealed they never appeared in official history. Each page fit perfectly into a grander puzzle, revealing Oak Island as just one hub in a vast network of pirate caches stretching from the Caribbean to Europe and North America. The realization hit like a tidal wave. Some of the crew could only stand and stare, speechless at the living pulse of history in their hands. Others fought the creeping unease, knowing that every dig, every descent, carried risks of collapse, flooding, or worse. Discovery by those who would kill for gold. The crew found themselves locked in a moral standoff. Should they keep digging for glory or protect the fragile history beneath their feet? Each decision carried the weight of consequence, balanced between greed, preservation, and survival. Rick stood at the rim of the pit, rain soaking his jacket as lightning illuminated the gleam of gold below. The sight was breathtaking. A living portrait of triumph, danger, and centuries-old mystery entwined. The air itself seemed alive with possibility, whispering that Oak Island's story was nowhere near complete. The journals, maps, and artifacts all hinted at deeper chambers, greater riches, and connections to pirate legacies long thought swallowed by the sea. Wind howled through the trees as rain lashed the island, turning the money pit into both a shrine and a dare. A monument that seemed to challenge anyone brave enough to chase its secrets. Every chest, every compass, every carved marking spoke like a voice from history, urging the crew to push forward. Each discovery carried a promise of more adventure, more revelation, more danger. Oak Island had finally yielded its first great secret, but its legend was far from spent. It pulsed with life, its mysteries waiting patiently for the next seekers to descend into its depths. And there it was, Rick Lagina's staggering $110 million find, a discovery that shattered everything we thought we knew about pirate history. Yet, this was only the prologue. The recovered journals and maps pointed to at least 7 other vast pirate hordes scattered across North America and the Caribbean, each one potentially worth hundreds of millions. The question now isn't if more treasure exists. It's whether Rick and his team dare to follow these perilous 300-year-old clues to the end. Because, if the journals tell the truth, Oak Island wasn't the final prize. It was the vault. The true pirate stronghold still lies hidden somewhere out there, waiting to be unearthed. So, what do you think? Should Rick risk it all and chase these maps to their deadly conclusion? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if this discovery left you speechless. And subscribe for more mind-blowing treasure hunts that rewrite history. The Oak Island saga isn't over. In fact, it's only just beginning.